Jack Reynolds stared at the blue hologram floating above his desk, reading the message for the third time. In 15 years of bounty hunting, he had never seen an offer this big. The numbers made his head spin. 50 million credits per capture, with no upper limit on the number of targets. He leaned back in his chair aboard his ship, the Star Chaser, and took a slow sip of coffee. The metal walls of his office were covered with trophies from past hunts, weapons, badges, and other memorabilia. But nothing in his collection came close to what this job might bring. The message was simple. Capture members of a newly discovered species called humans, alive and unarmed. No questions asked. Jack ran his fingers through his graying hair and pressed a button on his desk. Emily, Marcus, get in here. You need to see this. A few minutes later, his two most trusted team members walked in. Emily Drake, a tall woman with short blonde hair and a scar above her right eye, crossed her arms and leaned against the wall. Marcus Stone, built like a boxer and moving as quietly as a cat despite his size, took the chair opposite Jack's desk. "What's so important it couldn't wait until after breakfast?" Emily asked, stifling a yawn. Jack turned the hologram so they could see it. "The Galactic Council just sent us a contract. The biggest one I've ever seen." Marcus leaned forward, his dark eyes scanning the message. 50 million per capture. That can't be right. "It's real," Jack said. "I checked 3 times. The credits are already in escrow." Emily pushed off the wall and walked closer to the hologram. "What's a human? Never heard of them." Jack pulled up another screen, showing the limited data the Council had provided. Apparently, they're a new species that showed up in regulated space about 6 months ago. Bipedal, look a lot like standard humanoids. The Council says they're dangerous elements causing trouble across multiple sectors. Marcus frowned. "If they're so dangerous, why haven't we heard about them before? I keep pretty good tabs on new threats." "That's what bothers me," Jack said, standing up to pace the small office. "The Council's being weird about this. No pictures, minimal data, just a basic description and some tracking frequencies we can use to spot their ships." Emily tapped her fingers against her leg, a habit she had when thinking hard. "Could be classified. Maybe these humans stole something important." "Maybe," Jack said. "But 50 million credits per capture. That's the kind of money you offer for warlords or crime bosses, not random troublemakers." The 3 hunters fell silent, each lost in thought. They had worked together for 8 years, becoming the most successful hunting team in 3 sectors. Their reputation was built on taking the jobs nobody else could handle, and more importantly, on knowing which jobs to turn down. Marcus broke the silence first. "What's your gut telling you, Jack?" Jack stopped pacing and looked at his friends. "My gut says there's more to this than they're telling us. But my gut also says we can't ignore this kind of money." He smiled slightly. "Besides, aren't you both getting tired of chasing small-time smugglers?" Emily laughed. "You know me too well. I vote we take it. If nothing else, it'll be interesting to see what makes these humans so special." Marcus nodded slowly. "I'm in, but we play it careful. Full intel gathering before we make any moves." "Agreed," Jack said, sitting back down at his desk. He pressed his thumb against the contract acceptance panel, and the hologram flashed green. "Emily, plot a course to the nearest reported human sighting. Marcus, start digging through the Council's database. See if you can find anything they're not telling us." As his team left to begin their tasks, Jack stared out the viewport at the stars. Something about this job felt different. In all his years of hunting, he had learned to trust his instincts. Right now, they were telling him this contract would change everything. He just wished he knew whether that change would be for better or worse. The Star Chaser's engines hummed to life, and Jack felt the familiar slight shift as they prepared to jump to light speed. Whatever these humans were, whatever secrets the Council was hiding, he would find out soon enough. After all, That's what he did best. The trading station, Lucky Star, hung in space like a giant metal wheel, its spinning sections creating artificial gravity for the thousands of beings inside. Jack Reynolds and his team had tracked their first human target here, following a trail of ship signatures and data fragments. Target confirmed, Marcus whispered into his comm unit. He was hidden in the station's busy marketplace, pretending to browse alien fruits. Thomas Bennett, just like the records showed. He's at the ship parts store across the plaza. Through his own hidden camera, Jack watched their quarry. Thomas Bennett looked surprisingly normal, a man of average height with brown hair, wearing a simple pilot's jacket. If the council hadn't provided special scanning frequencies, they might have walked right past him. "Emily, are you in position?" Jack asked quietly. "Ready at the north exit," she replied. "Security cameras are looped. He won't make it 10 steps if he runs that way." Jack smiled. They had planned this carefully over the past week. The human was boxed in, Emily guarding one exit, Marcus watching the main plaza, and Jack himself blocking the path back to the docking base. It should have been an easy capture. It wasn't. Thomas was examining a power converter when his head suddenly snapped up. He hadn't looked at any of them, hadn't given any sign that he'd noticed anything wrong. But somehow he knew. "He's moving," Marcus reported, tension in his voice. "How did he?" Before Marcus could finish, Thomas grabbed the power converter and threw it at the store's main power unit. Sparks exploded everywhere. The lights in the entire sector went dark. "Switch to thermal vision," Jack ordered, already doing it himself. But the marketplace had erupted into chaos. Hundreds of warm bodies rushed around in the darkness, making it impossible to track a single target. "He's heading for the maintenance tunnels," Emily called out. "I can see him, wait. No, that's not him." Jack ran toward the maintenance access, shoving his way through the panicked crowd. His thermal sensors showed someone climbing into a ventilation shaft, a move that would have been suicide for most species in the station's artificial gravity. "Marcus, circle around through Section 8, Jack commanded. "Emily, stay on the main level. He has to come out somewhere." But Thomas Bennett had other plans. The station's artificial gravity suddenly flickered and died. People started floating everywhere, screaming in surprise. Jack magnetized his boots just in time. "He's hacked the gravity controls," Marcus said in disbelief. "How?" "The main controls are 3 sectors away." The power converter, Jack realized. He used it to access the maintenance systems. This was his plan from the start. Through the chaos of floating bodies and cargo, Jack caught a glimpse of Thomas pushing off walls with practiced ease, moving through zero gravity like he was born to it. He was heading for the emergency pods. "Emily, Marcus, get to the pod bay," Jack ordered, already running. But even as he gave the command, he knew they wouldn't make it in time. They reached the pod bay just as an emergency pod launched. Through the station's windows, they watched it arc away from the station. But instead of heading for open space, it curved around and disappeared into the debris field of wrecked ships that surrounded the station. "No one can navigate that debris field," Emily said. "The pieces are always moving. He'll be crushed." Jack watched the debris field through his enhanced vision. Somehow, the pod was threading its way through the moving wreckage, using the shifting patterns of debris like a shield. In minutes, it would be completely untraceable. "Well," Marcus said, breathing hard, "I guess now we know why the council's offering 50 million credits." Jack nodded slowly, his respect for their target growing. "He knew we were here the whole time. The power converter, the gravity, the debris field. He had escape routes planned for every situation." "So what do we do now?" Emily asked. Jack watched the last glimpse of the pod disappear into the field of wreckage. Now we stop thinking like hunters and start thinking like humans. That's the only way we'll catch one." As station security finally arrived to restore order, Jack's mind was already racing. Thomas Bennett had just taught them an important lesson. Humans weren't just another bounty. They were something entirely new. And for the first time in years, Jack Reynolds felt like he might have finally met his match. 3 days after the failed capture at Lucky Star Station, Jack sat in the Star Chasers' computer room with Amanda Foster, their team's data expert. Amanda's fingers flew over the holographic keyboard as she dug through council records. "There's something weird here," Amanda said, pushing her red hair away from her face. "Every time I try to access files about Earth, the human home planet, I hit walls. Big ones." Jack leaned forward in his chair. "What kind of walls?" "The kind that shouldn't exist," Amanda replied. "Look at this." She pulled up a screen showing a star map. "Earth should be here, in this arm of the galaxy. But every file about that sector is either deleted or locked behind security I've never seen before." The door slid open, and Emily walked in carrying 3 cups of coffee. She handed them out and looked at the screen. "Found anything about our friend Thomas?" "Better," Jack said. "We found out what the council's hiding." "Amanda, show her what you found about the refugee ships." Amanda pulled up another screen. This one showed blurry images of large ships leaving a blue-green planet. These photos were buried deep in the council's military files. They show humans leaving Earth in huge numbers. But here's the weird part. They're not invasion ships. They're refugee ships. Emily sat down hard in an empty chair. "Refugees. The council told us they were dangerous criminals." "It gets worse," Amanda said. She typed more commands, and new images appeared. These showed the same planet, but now it was covered in storms and rising oceans. Earth was dying. Natural disasters, climate change, the whole thing. The humans didn't have a choice. They had to leave. Jack stood up and paced the room. "So why does the council want them captured? Why tell us they're dangerous?" The door opened again, and Marcus rushed in. "You need to see this," he said, out of breath. "I just got a message from my contact in the council's security force. There's been an attack." Amanda quickly pulled up the new data. The room fell silent as they watched shaky video footage of a small human settlement on a frontier planet. Council ships appeared in the sky, but they weren't there to capture anyone. The video showed weapons fire, buildings exploding. "This isn't a police action," Emily said quietly. "This is extermination." Jack felt cold anger building in his chest. "How many attacks like this have there been?" "At least 7 that I can find records of," Amanda answered, her voice shaking. "All covered up. The council isn't trying to catch humans. They're trying to wipe them out before anyone knows they exist." "But why?" Marcus asked. "They're just refugees looking for a new home." Jack thought about Thomas Bennett, how quickly he had adapted to their trap, how cleverly he had used the station's own systems against them. "Because they're too good at surviving," he said. "The council's afraid of them. Humans can adapt to any situation, learn any technology, survive anything thrown at them. The council thinks they're a threat to the power structure." Emily stood up, her face hard with anger. "So what do? We can't keep hunting them. Not for this." Jack looked at each member of his team. They had worked together for years, built their reputation on always completing their contracts. But this was different. This was wrong. "Amanda," he said, "can you find the location of the next planned attack?" Amanda's fingers moved across the keyboard. "Yes. A small farming settlement on Paradise II. The attack force launches in 2 days." Jack nodded. "Good, because we're going to stop it." Marcus smiled slowly. "You want to break our contract with the council. That'll make us outlaws." "We're already outlaws," Jack replied. "We just didn't know it. The council lied to everyone, used us to help hunt innocent people. I say it's time to pick the right side." Emily checked her weapons. "The council won't like that." "No," Jack agreed. "But I think we're about to learn something else about humans. They make better allies than enemies." As the Star Chaser changed course for Paradise II, Jack thought about Thomas Bennett again. Soon, he hoped, they'd meet again. But this time, not as hunter and prey, as allies against a common enemy. The Star Chaser dropped out of light speed near Paradise II, its stealth systems active. From orbit, the small farming colony looked peaceful. Fields of golden crops stretched across the continent, broken by patches of forest and small settlements. Council ships detected, Amanda reported from her station. 3 attack vessels, approaching from the far side of the moon. Jack checked his weapons. How long until they reach the settlement? 20 minutes, Amanda replied. But we have another problem. There's a council strike team already on the ground. Emily cursed under her breath. They're following the same plan as the other attacks. Ground team takes out communications, then the ships bomb from orbit. Not this time, Jack said firmly. He turned to his team. Marcus, Emily, you're with me on the ground. Amanda, keep the ship cloaked and monitor council communications. Let's move. Their dropship descended through the atmosphere, landing in a small forest near the settlement. As they moved through the trees, they could hear sounds of fighting ahead. The settlement came into view, a cluster of simple buildings surrounded by farmland. The council strike team, wearing black armor, was already attacking, but something was different this time. They're meeting resistance, Marcus whispered, looking through his scope. The humans are fighting back. Through his own binoculars, Jack watched as a group of humans used farming equipment and simple weapons to hold off the heavily armed strike team. At their center, a tall woman with gray-streaked hair was shouting orders. That's Laura Thompson. Amanda's voice came through their comms. Former Earth Marine. She's been helping protect human settlements. Well, she's about to get some help, Jack said. Emily, circle left. Marcus, right. I'll take center. Standard flanking pattern. They moved into position. The council team, focused on the humans, never saw them coming. Emily struck first, her stun blasts taking down 3 soldiers before they knew what hit them. Marcus's shots came next, precise and deadly. Jack moved straight up the middle, using the confusion to get close to Laura's position. A council soldier spun to face him, weapon raised. Reynolds, what are you doing? These are the targets. No, Jack said. They're innocent people, and you're on the wrong side. His blast took the soldier down. The remaining council forces, caught between the hunters and the humans, quickly fell. But they had all heard the soldier recognize Jack. Laura Thompson aimed her makeshift weapon at him. You're Reynolds, the bounty hunter. Yes, Jack admitted, but we're not here to hunt you. Why should I believe you? Before Jack could answer, Amanda's urgent voice came through the comms. Council ships entering attack range. They're powering up weapons. Laura's eyes widened. The children. We have shelters, but they'll never hold against orbital bombardment. You don't have to use them, Jack said. He activated his comm. Amanda, execute Plan B. Above them, the Star Chaser decloaked. Its advanced shields extended downward, creating a protective dome over the settlement. Seconds later, the first council bombs hit and splashed harmlessly off the shield. Laura stared at the energy dome above them. You're really helping us. Yes, Jack said. We found out the truth about Earth, about what the council's really doing. We won't be part of it anymore. A small girl ran up to Laura, hugging her leg. Other children emerged from hiding places, watching the light show above as bombs continued to explode against the shield. The council will send more ships, Laura said. Let them come, Emily replied, joining them. We know people, other hunters, independent captains. Once they learn the truth, you'll have more allies. Marcus appeared with an injured human man leaning on his shoulder. We need to move soon. Shield won't last forever. Jack nodded. We'll get everyone to our backup location. But first, he turned to Laura. We need to talk. About Thomas Bennett, about organizing a real resistance. The council won't stop hunting humans. But now, the best hunters in the galaxy are on your side. Laura looked at him for a long moment. then smiled. "Well, Mr. Reynolds, I think this is the beginning of a very interesting partnership." Above them, the shield continued to hold, its blue light a beacon of hope for humans and hunters alike. 1 month after the battle at Paradise II, the Star Chaser docked at a hidden base, deep inside an asteroid field. The base didn't appear on any official maps. It was a secret refuge built by human survivors. Jack walked through the metal corridors beside David Anderson, one of the human resistance leaders. David was tall and broad-shouldered, with the careful movements of someone used to fighting. "Your warning saved 3 more colonies this week," David said. "The council ships arrived to find empty settlements. They weren't happy about that." Jack smiled. "Good. Emily and Marcus are setting up similar warning systems in other sectors. Soon we'll be able to protect every human settlement." They entered a large room filled with maps and communication equipment. Michael Anderson, David's brother, was working at a computer terminal. Unlike his warrior brother, Michael was lean and quick, with clever eyes and fast hands. "Jack, come look at this," Michael called out. "We modified your ship's cloaking system like you suggested. The results are interesting." Jack watched as Michael showed him the changes. The humans had taken the hunters' advanced technology and improved it in ways Jack had never imagined. Where his people had spent years making small improvements, the humans made huge leaps in understanding within weeks. "Amazing," Jack said. "But won't the council detect these changes?" "They can't detect what they don't understand," Michael replied with a grin. "We're not just copying your technology. We're changing how it works." Amanda's voice came through Jack's comm unit. "Jack, we just got a message from Thomas Bennett. He's ready to meet." Ever since the failed capture attempt at Lucky Star Station, Thomas had been helping from the shadows, sending information but staying hidden. This would be their first face-to-face meeting. "Tell him we'll meet at the usual place," Jack said. An hour later, Jack sat in a small diner on a crowded space station. He was alone, a show of trust. The door opened, and Thomas Bennett walked in. He looked exactly like Jack remembered, except now he was smiling. "The galaxy's deadliest bounty hunter," Thomas said, sitting down, "now helping human refugees. Quite a change." "The council lied to us," Jack replied. "Once we knew the truth, there was only one right choice." Thomas nodded. "That's why I'm here. We found something big, something that explains why the council fears humans so much." He pulled out a small device and showed Jack a series of images. They showed ancient ruins on different planets, all with the same marking, a double helix shape that looked like human DNA. "These ruins are from an ancient species called the Builders," Thomas explained. "They disappeared thousands of years ago. The council has kept these ruins secret for centuries." "What does this have to do with humans?" Jack asked. "Look at the genetic code in the ruins," Thomas said. "It matches human DNA. We're not just random refugees, Jack. We might be the descendants of the Builders. That's why the council is so afraid. They've spent centuries hiding the Builders' technology, keeping their power. Now we show up, able to understand and use that technology naturally." Jack sat back, stunned. "That's why humans can adapt so quickly to new technology. You're not learning it. You're remembering it." "Exactly. But we need help to prove it. The council has hidden the evidence in their most secure facilities. We can't reach those places alone." "But a team of expert bounty hunters might," Jack said, understanding. "Especially if those hunters know all the council's security systems." Thomas smiled. "Now you're thinking like a human." Jack stood up. "I'll need to talk to my team. And we'll need more help. Other hunters who've switched sides." "Take your time," Thomas said. "Just not too much. The council is getting desperate. They know we're close to the truth." As Jack left the diner, his mind was already planning. Humans weren't just survivors looking for a home. They were the heirs to an ancient legacy, and he was going to help them claim it. Jack stood in a hidden meeting room with his team, Thomas Bennett, and Robert Hayes, a council member who had secretly been helping them. The room was deep underground in an old mining facility, safe from the council's scanning systems. The group behind all this is called the Purists, Robert explained, his official council robes looking out of place in the rough cavern. They've controlled the council for centuries, keeping advanced technology for themselves. Amanda pulled up holographic images of 5 council members. These are the Purist leaders. They're the ones who ordered the attacks on human colonies. And they're the ones protecting this, Thomas added, showing another image. This one was of a massive vault built into an asteroid, the Hall of Records. Every piece of evidence about the builders is locked inside. Emily studied the vault's defenses. Those are military-grade shields. Getting in won't be easy. That's why we brought help, Jack said, pressing a button on the wall. A door opened, and Patricia Morgan walked in. She was a legend among bounty hunters, older than Jack, with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. "Well," Patricia said, looking around the room, "when you said you needed help breaking into the council's most secure facility, I thought you were crazy. Now I know you are." She smiled. "Count me in." Marcus brought up a detailed map of the vault. "The Purists know we're helping humans now. They've doubled the guards, added new security systems. But they don't know about me," Robert said. "I can get you past the outer defenses. After that, you're on your own." Jack nodded. "Thomas, your people ready?" "Ready and waiting," Thomas confirmed. "Once you get us the evidence, we'll broadcast it to every system in the galaxy. The council won't be able to hide the truth anymore." They spent the next hour going over the plan. It was dangerous, maybe the most dangerous thing any of them had ever tried. But they had no choice. The Purists were getting closer to finding the human resistance bases every day. "One more thing," Robert said quietly. "The Purists aren't just afraid of humans remembering builder technology. They're afraid of what else they might remember." Amanda looked up from her computer. "What do you mean?" "The builders didn't just disappear," Robert explained. "The Purists' ancestors destroyed them. They've spent centuries hiding that crime, keeping their power through lies and secret knowledge. If humans really are the builders' descendants, then we're living proof of their crimes," Thomas finished. "No wonder they want us gone." Patricia checked her weapons. "Well, they'll have to get through us first. My team's already spreading the word to other hunters. You'd be surprised how many of us don't like being used by the council." Jack looked at each person in the room. His old team, Emily, Marcus, and Amanda, who had followed him into this fight without hesitation. Thomas, who had gone from target to ally. Robert, risking everything to help expose the truth. Patricia, bringing more hunters to their cause. "The vault's defenses reset in 3 days," Jack said. "That's when we move. Emily, Marcus, you'll take the main entrance with Patricia's team. Amanda, you'll handle their computer systems. Thomas, your people will be ready for the broadcast. Robert, I'll get you inside," Robert promised. "After that, I'll try to keep the council distracted. But be careful. The Purists have hidden more than just records in that vault. Some of the builder technology they've kept. It's dangerous. More dangerous than making enemies of every human in the galaxy," Emily asked. "We'll find out soon enough," Jack said. "Get some rest. In 3 days, we either expose the biggest conspiracy in galactic history, or we all die trying." Patricia finished cheerfully. "Just another day at work for bounty hunters, right?" As the meeting broke up, Jack stayed behind, looking at the vault schematics. After decades of hunting, he was finally chasing something worth dying for: the truth, and a chance to help an entire species claim their stolen heritage. The news spread through the bounty hunter community like wildfire. The council had lied to them all. Every day, more hunters switched sides, turning their skills to protecting human settlements instead of hunting them. In her command center on the Star Chaser, Amanda monitored the growing network of allies. Her screen showed dozens of hunter ships, now working together to guard human colonies and gather intelligence. Another team just joined us, she told Jack, who was checking his equipment nearby. The Black Star crew. They were supposed to raid a human mining operation, but after learning the truth, they helped the miners escape instead. Jack nodded, loading power cells into his weapons. How many hunters are with us now? Over 200 ships, Amanda replied. The purists tried raising the bounty on humans, but it backfired. The higher the price went, the more hunters got suspicious and started asking questions. Emily walked in, carrying new communication devices. Patricia's teams are in position around the vault. They're ready for tomorrow. What about our inside help? Jack asked. Robert sent the security codes, Amanda said, and he's arranged a council meeting tomorrow to keep most of the guards away from the vault. Marcus appeared in the doorway. You all need to see this. The humans found something. They followed him to a larger room where Thomas Bennett was waiting with the Anderson brothers. A large hologram filled the center of the room, showing what looked like a star map. We decoded more builder symbols, Michael Anderson explained. They're not just random decorations. They're coordinates, locations of builder facilities across the galaxy. David pointed to specific points on the map. These facilities are huge. Research centers, shipyards, maybe even weapons, all hidden by the purists. And all set to recognize builder DNA, human DNA. Thomas added, once we have proof of our connection to the builders, we can access everything they left behind. Jack studied the map. No wonder the purists are so scared. This isn't just about hiding the past. It's about keeping all this power for themselves. But there's a problem, Thomas said. The purists know we're close to the truth. They're moving something big into position around the vault. Military ships, lots of them. Patricia's voice came through the comm system. My scouts confirm it. They're setting up a blockade. Tomorrow's attack just got a lot harder. Emily smiled. Good thing we're not going in alone. She pressed a button, and the star map changed to show their own forces. Hunter ships of every size and type were gathering, hidden behind moons and asteroids near the vault. Some were small and fast, perfect for hit-and-run attacks. Others were heavy gunships, built for serious fighting. The galaxy's deadliest bounty hunters, Marcus said proudly, all working together for the first time in history. The purists won't expect it, Jack said. They think hunters only work alone, only care about money. They don't understand what happens when you lie to people who find truth for a living. Amanda's screens lit up with new signals. More ships arriving. Looks like the Silver Dawn crew just joined us. And they brought friends. Thomas watched the growing fleet with amazement. When we left Earth, we thought we were alone in the galaxy. Now look at this. The best hunters in space, all fighting to help humans. Fighting to help justice, Patricia corrected through the comm. The purists didn't just hurt humans. They've been controlling and lying to everyone for centuries. Tomorrow, that all ends. Jack checked the time. Less than 24 hours until the attack. Get some rest, he told his team. Tomorrow, we make history, or die trying. Preferably not the dying part, Emily said lightly, but her eyes were serious. They all knew the risks. The purists wouldn't give up their power easily. But looking at the fleet gathering for tomorrow's battle, Jack felt confident. Humans and hunters, working together, were more powerful than any secret society. Tomorrow would prove it. The battle for the Hall of Records began at dawn. Patricia Morgan's ships struck first, appearing from behind asteroids to attack the purist blockade. The council ships, expecting to face a small rebel force, were shocked by the size of the hunter fleet. First wave engaged. Patricia's voice crackled through the comm. Their attention is divided. Move in now. The Star Chaser shot forward, its new cloaking system making it invisible to purist scanners. Jack, Emily, and Marcus waited in the ship's drop bay, while Amanda piloted them through the chaos of battle. Robert's codes worked, Amanda reported. Outer defense grid is down. You've got 4 minutes to get inside before it resets. The dropship detached from the Star Chaser, carrying Jack's team toward the vault's landing bay. Through the viewport, they watched hunter ships engaging the purest forces. Patricia had united the best pilots in the galaxy, and it showed. "Look at that flying," Marcus said as a hunter ship pulled off an impossible maneuver to avoid enemy fire. "I didn't think the Silver Dawn could move like that." "They'd been practicing with human pilots," Emily replied, "learning new tricks." They landed hard in the vault's bay, just as the defense grid started to come back online. Thomas Bennett was waiting for them with Michael Anderson, both carrying special scanning equipment designed to detect builder technology. "Guards are concentrated on the upper levels," Thomas reported. "Most of them went to help fight the hunters." "Then let's not waste time," Jack said. "Amanda, you're connected to their systems. Ready to start the download as soon as you reach the central computer," she confirmed through their comms. They moved quickly through the vault's corridors, dealing with the few guards they encountered. The purists had never expected anyone to get this far. Their security focused on keeping people out, not stopping them once inside. The central records chamber was massive, filled with rows of data storage units. Michael immediately went to work, connecting their devices to the main computer while the others stood guard. "Download starting," Michael announced. "But there's something else here. These readings, they're off the charts." Before he could explain, alarms blared. Heavy doors slid open at the far end of the chamber, and a group of purist leaders walked in. They wore elaborate robes and carried advanced weapons unlike anything Jack had seen before. "Builder technology," Thomas whispered. "They've been using it all along." The lead purist stepped forward. "You have no idea what you're doing. The builders were dangerous. Their power had to be contained. We've spent centuries keeping the galaxy safe." "You spent centuries keeping power for yourselves," Jack replied, "while destroying anyone who might threaten that power." "The evidence is already transmitting," Michael announced. "Every system in the galaxy is getting proof of what you did to the builders, what you're trying to do to humans." The purist leader raised his weapon. "Then we'll have to make an example of you too." The weapon fired, but something unexpected happened. The energy beam hit Thomas and simply disappeared. Thomas stood straighter, his eyes glowing slightly. "You forgot something," he said. "Builder technology recognizes builder DNA. We're not just their descendants. We're their heirs." The chamber's systems suddenly came alive, responding to Thomas's presence. Screens lit up, showing ancient text translating itself into modern language. The purists' weapons went dead in their hands. "Amanda," Jack called into his comm. "Are you seeing this?" "Every word," she replied. "And so is the rest of the galaxy. The purists' whole network just opened up. Everything they've been hiding. It's all coming out." Outside, the battle was ending. Other council ships, learning the truth about the purists, were standing down. Patricia's hunters had won. The purist leader dropped his useless weapon. "You don't understand what you've done. The builder's power will be shared," Jack finished. "Not hoarded. Not used to control others. The galaxy's changing, starting today." Thomas looked at the streaming data with wonder. "This is more than just proof of our past. These are the keys to builder facilities across the galaxy. Places where we can learn, build, grow. Places we'll protect," Emily added. "Together." Jack smiled as he watched Council security forces, the real ones, not purist loyalists, arriving to arrest the purist leaders. The galaxy's deadliest bounty hunters had become something more. Guardians of a new age, partners with humanity in building a better future. "So," Marcus said, holstering his weapon, "what do we hunt next?" "The truth," Jack replied. "Always the truth, and this time, we hunt it together."